Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the September 16th meeting of the Frederick County Planning Commission. And would you join us in a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Our agenda has no changes.
Madam Chair, move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have also August 19th minutes.
Madam Chair, move for adoption.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you, sir, very much. We do have some committee reports, hopefully. Gary Oates will report for the Comp Plan Committee, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, ma'am. We met this past Monday and discussed the new maps for the Kernstown, or excuse me, not Kernstown, but for the comprehensive plan revision update. Very good maps. I don't know if they're posted online or not, but a lot of information on them, and you can tell planning did a lot of work on those.
Yes, yeah, great. Let's see, we have Mr. Smith from the City of Winchester.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to report?
Yes, Madam Chairman. We met yesterday for a regular Planning Commission meeting, and we discussed the ordinance to amend and reenact articles, the Winchester zoning ordinance pertaining to the definition of brewery, distillery, microdistillery, microbreweries, and nanobreweries and tasting rooms. And we also discussed an ordinance to rezone approximately 16.4 acres of land containing approximately 96 parcels for the corridor enhancement project, which is going to be on National Avenue. And that's all we had to discuss.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for being with us. And Mr. Bob Hess from the Board of Supervisors.
Oh, Madam Chairman, members of the Commission, since the last Planning Commission on August 19th, the Board of Supervisors met once, and that was this past Wednesday, September the 9th. Planning Commission related items that were on the board agenda included the public hearing regarding Jackson's Retreat. That was the request for a waiver to eliminate sidewalks and streetlights, and the board approved those waivers. The next item was for discussion of the Hyatt Run Condominiums Master Plan, which was presented for information only. The next item was a discussion of an ordinance amendment to permit self-storage facilities in the RA district. The board decided to move the amendment forward for public hearing. The next item was an ordinance amendment regarding variance requirements to bring us into compliance with changes in state code, and I agreed to move that forward for public hearing. The next last item was a discussion of a proposed ordinance amendment regarding setback from agricultural and forestal districts for parcels of less than 6 acres. Following discussion, the board agreed to move it forward for public hearing. And finally, the board discussed the Kernstown area plan and decided that they needed more time to offer comment before making a decision to take it forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is the time on our agenda if anyone in the audience would like to speak with us about anything other than a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak with us? All right, we will close the citizen comment portion. Our first item is a public hearing. Is conditional use permit 02-15 for James Brown and Susan Brown for a kennel. The property is located at 719 Barley Lane, and it's identified with property ID number 64-A23 in the Back Creek Magisterial District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members of the Planning Commission, this is a kennel for breeding and sale of dogs. It's on property that's zoned RA, rural areas at this time, and it's surrounded by RA zone property, rural zone property. Their land uses are vacant and residential. If I could turn your attention to the screen on your left, give you a aerial map of where the property is located. It's circled, and we kind of see if we can zoom in a little bit there. It's circled there in the middle of the 154-acre parcel located on Barley Lane. And it shows you a little close-up of the area that, of where this property is located. Kennels are permitted in the RA zoning district with a conditional use permit. This kennel will take, as pointed out, on a 154-acre parcel adjacent to an existing residence. The property owner, or I should say the tenant of the property, lives on the property where this kennel will take place. The properties immediately adjacent to this proposed conditional use permit are currently, again, zoned RA, with the nearest residential dwelling being between 500 and 1,000 feet from the proposed kennel all around. The property, the applicant will be utilizing three buildings with this kennel. One will be an enclosed kennel for the adult dogs. The other two, one will be used for storage of supplies for the kennel, and there will be two enclosed kennels for weaning and whelping. I'm gonna let him explain that. I don't know anything about breeding, so at the rear of the property. There'll be a fenced area, of course, for the dogs located near the rear of the property for the dogs to do exercise and to show when families are coming. This proposed kennel, however, will not be used for boarding dogs, and most of the kennels that we do come in front of the Planning Commission, as you're aware of, is for boarding. We did have, 2 years ago, we did have a small breeding operation, so this one was a little bit different than what you're accustomed of seeing in front of you. Should the Planning Commission feel this kennel to be appropriate, staff would recommend the following conditions be attached to this conditional use permit. 1, all review agency comments shall be complied with at all times. Number 2, this conditional use permit is solely to enable the breeding of dogs on this property. Number 3, no more than 20 adult dogs shall be permitted on the property at any given time. Number 4, no employees other than those residing on the property shall be allowed. Number 5, all dogs should be controlled so not to create a nuisance to any adjacent property or properties by roaming or barking. All dogs should be confined indoors between 9 p.m. and not let outdoors prior to 8 a.m. A proposed business sign shall conform to the cottage occupation sign requirements, and that is not to exceed 4 square feet in size and 5 feet in height. And number 8, any expansion or modification of this use will require an approval of a new conditional use permit. Madam Chair, Mr. and Mrs. Brown are here to answer any questions you may have on this application for a dog kennel for breeding, and staff will answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Charon at this point? Yes, Mr. Moan.
I just have one question, Mr. Charon. You had mentioned when reading through the conditions, number 3, you indicated no more than 20 adult dogs. And the wording of the condition, at least in our packet, is that no more than 20 dogs and puppies.
Yes, and I apologize to the Planning Commission for that. We did make a change after talking to the applicant and also talking with Mr. Marston. We had puppies there, as you know, coming in front of us all the time. We have kennels of how many dogs we're going to have out there. It was felt, talking with the applicant, and he's comfortable with it, and the Planning Commission for that district, limited to 20 adult dogs, and you have the litters there, and we can move forward from there.
That makes sense.
Chris, I spent about an hour there today, and that was my main question for going there. And so we kind of got this thing hassled out to 20 adult dogs, because my question was, if you had 4 bitches that had 5 puppies, you got 20 dogs to start off with. So so it would be 20 adult dogs. Mr. and Mrs. Brown is very satisfied with that situation of 20 adult dogs, and they can live within the CUP then.
That sounds good. That makes sense to me.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Brown, would you like to address the commission or answer questions? Yes. Come on up. Would you give us your name, please, and magisterial district?
Back Creek District, and my name is Jim Brown, legally James M. Brown.
Thank you.
Yes. And if you all have any questions, rather than me talking about it, you can go to the website and probably learn more than I do. I don't look at the website, so yeah.
Any questions of Mr. Brown?
I do appreciate the understanding about the number of dogs. I had a female last summer that delivered 14, so that one mom could almost put us over the limit on that. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for working with Mr. Marston and Mr. Chairman on that.
Now, let me do say this about this is not just a money-making. We had no idea at the very beginning when we were considering this as our means of livelihood. We have really enjoyed over the past couple, 3 years especially, the people that God has put in contact with us about special needs children, special need home situations, and our dogs and the breeding program is really geared to a lot of that. And it's been incredible, some of the people that have come into our path. And I have to confess, when we first began the whole working toward this hearing this evening, I had some really negative thoughts about it and the whole process and so like that, and yet we have met some really fine people and made friends in ways that I never thought possible. So I thank God for every one of you all. Yeah, you're doing a good job. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak concerning this conditional use permit? Anyone? Well, we will close the public hearing. Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this? And we are in the Back Creek District.
Madam Chair, I'm visiting with the Browns today and seeing what they are really trying to do out there and are being very successful. They have whelping buildings out there that I could live in myself. I was very impressed. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit of 02-15 for Jim and Susan Brown at 719 Barley Lane.
Second.
It's been seconded? Did someone second? I couldn't hear. Okay, thank you, Roger. All right, Mr. Moan.
Moan, yes.
Dunlap, yes.
Bolden, yes.
Thomas, yes.
Votes yes.
Manuel, yes.
Ambrosi, yes.
Marston, yes.
And the chair votes yes. This will go to the Board of Supervisors on October the 14th.
Madam Chairman, I forgot to clarify, the board last week changed their meeting dates in October, so it's going to be October 28th
Okay.
for all these items.
Thank you. All righty. Our next item is I-81 Distribution Park, Stonewall, and that is in the Stonewall Industrial Park site plan. The site plan for the I-81 Distribution Park, located on Tyson Drive in the Stonewall Industrial Park, is being presented as an information item due to its impacts on the Route 37 right-of-way. Mrs. Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the Commission. As you stated, this is a site plan review for a plan that is called the I-81 Distribution Park, Stonewall, within the Stonewall Magisterial District, again, located at the corner of Tyson Drive and Welltown Road. The site plan that is still pending, it contains a 330,000 square foot warehouse structure that is located within the path of 37. So as with previous plans, if the proposal contains impacts to 37, we take it forward to the Planning Commission and the board as an informational item. This is the site plan. It was also included in your agenda, just for reference purposes. We have Tyson Drive that runs in this area, and then Welltown. And then this is the particular building that would be within the right-of-way. And then, as you can see, this is a location map that has not cooperating. The site plan overlaid with the zoning, so you can see, again, the right-of-way, which is at the red at the top in this area here. So just a brief presentation of the site plan. It is only an informational item. There's no action on the plan required. I would be glad to answer any questions that you may have, and the applicant here is Mr. Denny Dunlap with Dice Engineering, and he can answer any questions as well. Thank you.
All righty, any questions of Mrs. Perkins? Questions of the applicant? This is not a public hearing. Don't see any. Thank you. Are you looking for comments, Mrs. Perkins?
If you have comments, take them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much. Our next item is an information and discussion item. It's supplementary use regulations on setback extensions. And this is a discussion on the revision to the Frederick County zoning ordinance to revise the supplementary use regulations for setback extensions. Mrs. Perkins.
Again, thank you. Back in 2011, the RP, which is the Residential Performance District, was revised regarding some of the setbacks and the dimensional requirements. One of the main changes was an introduction for setbacks for unroofed decks and structures. Now, with that revision, there was an allowance for extensions into the setback within a different section, which is the supplementary use regulations. With that change, we eliminated the RP and the R4 from that section. However, the R5 was not removed. Now, since the RP district standards also apply to the R5 should have been removed at that time, leaving only the RA district and the MH1 districts within that section. So this is a minor revision to remove the R5 from that supplementary use regulation setback extension to ensure that R5 developments, which are your Lake Holiday, Lake Frederick, Shawneeland, Mountain Falls, all utilize the RP setbacks for decks and stoops as intended. The DRC reviewed this at their August meeting. They sent it forward to the Planning Commission for review. So we are seeking comments on the amendment to forward to the board, and I would be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mrs. Perkins? Any comments for the board?
This is just a cleanup exercise. I don't see a problem with it.
All right, we have consensus that way? Thank you very much, Mrs. Perkins. Oh, my goodness. I would like to share with you that we will indeed have a meeting on the 7th of October. Generally, we have skipped over the first meeting of the month, but we will be meeting this October 7th here. And we may also be meeting the 21st, depending on the applications which are coming in. So put that on your calendar. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you all.
You can go back home.